Hey, what's up, Marine? How you doing? So I'm still kind of messing around with this thing, but hopefully, BZ Watchdog. Kill. So, yeah. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. Let me, somebody tell me if you can hear me. We're going to talk with Alan Beck today. We're going to talk a little bit. Let me turn this down here. Hold on. So we're going to talk a little bit with Alan Beck today. And we're going to have some other guests on. We're going to have Out Freaking Standing. Arr! Just out here on airing. Arr, kill! So we're going to have Dick Heller on. Alan Beck, who's one of the top Second Amendment rights lawyers in the country. And we're going to talk about a bunch of cool stuff. One of the things we're going to talk about is the Donnell case. Let me try and find that real quick. Yeah, we're gonna get into the Donnell case. Show you a link. I will show you a link. I will teach you. You will learn my numbers. Do you understand me? Private Joker. Do you understand me? Best, right? Private Joker. Best gunnery sergeant drill instructor ever. Guy was a god. Who will disagree with me? No one will. So Commonwealth versus Donnell. It's a state case we're going to talk about. Sir, yes, sir. Private doesn't know, sir. Private's parents' fault, sir. Hey, so BZ Watchdog, what do you think about the Marine Corps letting all these diet privates in now? I mean, come on. When I was in, if you were a freaking disgusting fat body, you wouldn't be wearing NCO chevrons, that's for sure. I mean, I'm seeing just a bunch of fat Marines. They look like soldiers now. I mean, what happened to our standards? Put it in the comments. What do you think about the standards? I'll try to be like that guy, Jameson Trellis. Put it in the comments. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Put it in the comments. Freaking outstanding PCP. Kill. Hey, what do you think of this music? Let me see if I can. I'm going to send some invites so people can. I'm going to send some invites to all the cool people right now. To everybody who wants to make America a better place, you got to join my podcast, or that means that you ain't black. You ain't a patriot if you ain't coming on my website. Okay, live cast. I'm going to put it down as a 9:30 a.m. invite. All right there, you. Oh, someone's calling me. That's my buddy Gabriel. I'm going to tell him to tune in and watch me right now. Hold on a minute. Let me get him online right here, guys.
What time is he going live?
So I'm going live. I'm actually kind of live right now. I'm talking with BZ Watchdog about the freaking pork chop platoon. Pork chop platoon, like fat body privates. So you're actually live right now. You're live on YouTube. We're talking. But you could go to You can go to Ask Michael Ehline or YouTube, and we're going to have a cool show today. Hopefully people show up. But right now I'm just playing some cool music and letting people kind of see what's going on, what we're going to bring them, and kind of, shooting the breeze with with a fellow Marine here, but come on in, man, and join us. We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay. I what's your email?
It's GABE.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
So it's all together, Gabe Little Dog.
Okay.
At Gmail.
Okay, Gabe Little.
LIDOT.
Little dog or little dot?
Little dog.
Okay, at Gmail.
At Gmail.
All right, hold on. This will be cool, man. So I'm just going to send you the link right now. Talk to you in a minute. Bye. Yeah, see, that's how we roll here on my podcast. We have fun with fellow patriots. It's my buddy Gabriel from Orange County. Really cool dude. Hopefully he'll join us today. So you can kind of see what all these crazy people do over here at the Ehline Law Firm. Let me try to send this. So I want to let me see here. Oops. So I'm going to invite, then I just do copy, and then I just drop it over here in this email. So hey, Devil Dog, tell me a little bit about when were you in at BZ Watchdog? Sound off like you got a pair. You must be out of your freaking doggone mind there, you. That's what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me get my freaking doggone civilian dress blue top on so I can show myself. Hold on. All right, getting squared away. Okay, yeah, I think I got out in 98. Wait, no, 89. My bad. So when I was in, that's when we still had Alice packs. I mean, it was, in fact, when I was in, well, let me turn this down. Jiminy Christmas. What the hell, man? At least you can see, we got the good patriotic music going, ready to go on a forced march any second. So when I was in, we had 782 gear. We had these incredibly high center of gravity Kevlar helmets. We called them Kevlars, actually, the helmets. And we had these real thick Kevlar vests, which were basically like flak jackets, like probably similar to what my dad had in Vietnam, but a little better. Yeah, man, that was something else. Hold on, let me get this over. Okay, we got this open back up. I'll write that crazy one. Yeah, you had... yeah, after the Gulf II and Afghanistan, they really started getting some really cool high-speed stuff, so even regular infantry units, could kind of pretend like they were, recon or something. I don't know if that's how it was when you were in, but when my dad was in forced reconnaissance, they were the shit. Like, there was nobody that was even close. He went out with those guys a few times as a forward observer, said they were just total animals. They could go for days without eating, and they just lived on adrenaline. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sound off like you got a pair. Yeah, that's cool, man. What part of Anaheim? Anaheim Hills? What? Sound off like you have a pair. I just love that. 0321. Kill! Ah! Oh, yeah. So one of the cool things about my deal, not really cool, kind of sucked, is I was the very first series out of MCRD San Diego to go through MCT. Now, the kicker is that I was a volunteer 0311. So I actually had to do MCT and go to School of Infantry. So I got like a double whammy of what the Marine Corps had to offer. So I went through the MCR. So because what I understand now is MCT, which by the way was a totally different area. Like we were down at like some Quonset huts when we did MCT. Like there were like rattlesnakes cruising around at night. It was wild. Now that's where I saw like a recon. Last time I went down there was a couple years back. They had like a force recon or a reconnaissance symbol up there by where our Quonset huts were. But yeah, now I guess they have them next to each other. But yeah, you know, like I tell these young Marines, I did MCT and SOI, and they're like, "Oh, you're a liar. You were never a Marine." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, because infantry doesn't go to MCT. And I was like, "Oh, well, I guess then I wasn't a real Marine because that was the very first series. And I had to do both." Freaking stupid. Crazy. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, that's all like an area where I used to cruise around and have a lot of fun. You know, I'm originally from Orange County. Just as a teenager, I ended up in Newport Beach and Huntington. My uncle owned the Wind and Sea surfboards in Huntington, so I would surf there, stay in his shop up in a like a loft in the back and go surfing every morning. Used to get hamburgers at Wimpy's. It was pretty cool. Yeah, Del Mar. Yeah, but you're out now, I would imagine. Yeah. Why would you want to be in this woke military anyways? Crazy. Oh no, that's cool. Yeah, we're gonna go live in a little bit. I just try to get on early to pick up any stragglers, any people who need to be saved, you know. Freaking kill. Yeah, man, Wimpy's I think is gone now. But my uncle was right there on the north side of the Huntington Pier, and he was there. Man, I think he was there for like 20 years or something or more. My understanding is originally Wind and Sea was a surf shop down in San Diego. He moved it or bought it or somehow it ended up in Huntington. And then my uncle either taught or helped or assisted Bob Hurley and Mike Lytle in getting their start as surfboard shapers. And Mike Lytle shaped my first surfboard and signed it for me. And my cousin Timo, they call him Red, he used to spar with Tito Ortiz, and he became a professional surfer as well. He was a pretty tough little scrapper. I mean, Huntington Beach used to scrap. That was a place where people would go to scrap, and you know, that was like the original sort of locals only scene. It's kind of cool. Things sure are different now, man. Like, I feel sorry for the girls, you know, how do they find a real man willing to, you know, stand up for their honor? Good luck. Put that in the comments. What do people think about that? Put it in the comments. Do you think it's smart that the government and the public school system is trying to emasculate men and put all these BS labels, you know, trying to make men look bad if they believe in honor and integrity and being tough and being able to handle their business? What do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Yeah, that's cool, man. Hell yeah, they do. And they'll probably still keep calling you when they burn through all these freaking disgusting fat bodies out there, right? By the way, everybody, disgusting fat bodies, that's a term that you get from the Marine Corps, and then it was sort of made famous in the movie Full Metal Jacket. So Arlie Ermy, that was the guy who, just look at my clock here. Arlie Ermy was the guy from Full Metal Jacket, and he was the drill instructor. Now, I knew him from another movie called, I think it was The Siege at or Siege of Firebase Gloria. It was a really amazing movie about how these Force Reconnaissance Marines rescue an Army fire base. Probably accurate. And Arlie Ermy played a head Marine sniper. I don't know if he was a sniper, but he was definitely like the head Force Reconnaissance guy. I think he was a sergeant major or master sergeant, something like that. What a great movie that was. Yeah, then Mail Call. Yeah, right on, man. Yep. Yeah, right on, Eagle Eye. I would say that that's a pretty fair statement. 100%. Hey, so everybody, I know there's just two of you guys, but it's a start. So I'm going to look, I do personal injury law, so I help people in car accidents and stuff like that. That's how I make my money. But my passion is civil rights law and Second Amendment and teaching people the law. And I like to teach people the law through teaching them about natural law and natural rights, that everybody has certain unalienable natural rights, teach them that where that comes from, teach them about Locke and Hobbes and the Leviathan and the tendency of people who are fanatics, billionaires and whatnot, typically people who, not all of them, but a lot of them become power hungry and lustful. And once you have that kind of power, you feel like you're a god. And I try to teach people that, that's not natural. We're all born with the same rights. And the Leviathanic thinkers, these rich people, they want to concentrate power and take away your power with their money, or empower people under the guise of something that's false using news media narratives. So I like to teach people natural law and then teach them the law. So, what do you guys think? Do you think I should just be running ads like, hey, I'm a personal injury lawyer, or should I be talking about things that matter? And then you guys will remember me if you have a problem and then contact me down the road. I don't know. Put it in the comments. I'll try to be Jameson Travels. Put it in the comments. What do you think? Hey, Eagle Eye. I probably did. I've just been absolutely buried over here. But send it again and put on your email Eagle Eye. Type in Eagle Eye Liberty like in your email, so I know 100% that it's you, because you got my attention. Hold on, I'm going to put this up here. I would say that's probably an accurate statement. Okay, so guys, I'm going to invite Alan Beck in. So try to gear questions towards the Donnell case and other stuff like that. Let me get him in here. Hey, Alan.
Hey, how you doing? I didn't realize we were live quite yet, so let me put myself.
I can remove you and you can come back. I'm going to remove you and you're right. All right, guys. So, that's really cool. So Eagle Eye, man. 1,000%. I want to help you with whatever. Even if I can't do it myself, I want to help you. So do it to the attention of, and the subject, Eagle Eye Liberty. And as soon as we're done with this conference, it's going to be the first thing that I attend to. But I'm glad that you understand how it works. Like, get my attention, because I'm buried, man. I'm trying to start this new thing online, and I'm so glad that freaking BZ Watchdog joined in. It's cool that Marines joined in on my cast, because I find that Marines are really cool. And anytime I've ever had a problem, if I'll be wearing or I'll see somebody wearing their EGA or their honorable discharge pin, and automatically we're friends. And no other branches really have that. You don't really see a lot of Navy SEALs walking around with their tridents on. I guess that's not considered cool, but the Marine Corps, it's a brotherhood, and yeah, we let everybody know it. That's for sure. But we have good reason to, because when we meet another Marine, we know no matter what, that they have that basic instinct, that basic training, that steeped in history and tradition. They understand the value of camaraderie, high testosterone, and a little bit of crazy to get the job done. And that's how it's got to be in real life, man. So let me see here. Yeah, brothers for life. That's right, man. Yeah, that's right. That's how it really is too, man. So, hell yeah, Eagle Eye. That's what it's all about, and I appreciate that, because we get a raw deal. Look at what's happening right now with the VA. They're giving priority to illegals who came across illegally, because they're trying to redistrict everything. By the time of the next census, there won't be any more red states at this rate. There will be so many brand new congressmen and senators, probably representing like one legal voter and 500 illegal voters, but it'll be a new voting district. And we know that's the game of the WEF. We know that's what they want. Sure is, Eagle Eye. Makes me really sad. Especially, it's almost like they're trying to replace us, right? Like with people who don't know anything about our country and our rich and valuable traditions. People from Leviathanic cultures. People who support a large centralized control over every aspect of their lives. Hey, I wonder, Alan, I can see you, but these guys can't see you. All you got to do is like nod your head whenever it's okay to bring you on, because I want to introduce you. Okay, guys, I'm going to introduce you to Alan. Now, Alan, since I do have one Marine in here, I do want to disclose that, Alan was also a Marine, and he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so don't mess around. Hey, Alan.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Good. So, Alan, tell our guests a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an attorney in the San Diego area. I specialize in civil rights litigation, and I've done a significant amount of the Second Amendment litigation in this country, and I do almost all the Second Amendment work out of the state of Hawaii. I've probably what I'm known for is I myself and another attorney overturned the vast majority of the taser bans in this country. We overturned the bans in New York, New Jersey, several cities in Maryland, New Orleans, Rhode Island, Hawaii, a couple other places. And we also took a case up to the U.S. Supreme Court that was heard immediately after Bird, called George Young v. State of Hawaii, that dealt with the same legal issue. I've litigated probably around 20 Second Amendment cases over the years, somewhere around there. And I've done a lot of free speech law as well.
So, Alan, you've done some school speech cases too, right? That's another example, that I like to share with people because it sort of shows the power of the Leviathan to try and control you even when you're not where you would be under their direct control. Can you tell these guys a little bit about that case?
Yeah, I represented 6 students that were in Albany, California. That's it's a part of Alameda County, next to San Francisco. And, we had 10 litigants total. And what happened was they were all talking to each other on a private Instagram page. And, the person that created the page was making a lot of, pretty outlandish statements, about the school and, some of his fellow classmates. But I mean, this was all done in private. Some of his friends would comment on the posts, and some of them would just read the posts. The school found out about this after one of the guys' girlfriends was snooping through his phone and found the Instagram page. And she took screenshots, sent over to the vice principal. All of them were either suspended or expelled. The ones that were suspended, and remember, a lot of these people, all they did was read their friends' jokes and comments, and a lot of them, all they did was like the some of the posts. So not a lot going on here. And the day they were doing this in the privacy of their own homes. So the ones that were suspended were required to attend a restorative justice session in order to go back to school. Unfortunately, what that meant for them is they the school administration told their classmates to, make fun of them, make them feel uncomfortable. This got to the point where people were yelling profanity at them, and it ultimately turned into a riot where several of my clients were assaulted, and they had to flee. The remainder of them had to flee for their lives, literally. all the while, the police actually wouldn't get involved. The police told the school that if they wanted the police involved, the situation had gotten so turbulent that they would have to treat it as a full-blown riot with tear gas, etc. And that's how bad the school messed up here. So anyway, I mean, we either could do it, just go 100% in, or this is a school issue. So yeah, we brought a lawsuit over that. We also brought a lawsuit over one of the kids did get have an expulsion hearing, and the school board member who was supposed to act as a neutral arbitrator was actually at a protest regarding his speech prior to the hearing. And so we sued over the fact that she showed impermissible bias. Imagine if you were in front of a judge and the judge said was at a pro-life or pro-choice. You pick your choice. Before rally, before overseeing an abortion case. So we brought a case on 3 different constitutional claims. Free speech, state-created danger, which means if the government puts you in a position, typically the government doesn't have a duty to help you. The police don't have to help you. If the police sees you drowning, they are not obligated to do anything. However, if the police put you in a position, or another government official puts you in a position where you're worse off than when they found you, then they've created a state-created danger. And so we had free speech, state-created danger over the assembly, and we also sued over unconstitutional bias it really showed what's going on up in the Bay Area, because out of there were 10 plaintiffs total. I mean, one of the kids I represented, all he did was read his friend's posts, and he was suspended. And if they can suspend you, they have the authority to make that illegal.
I mean, Alan, this sounds like something out of a George Orwell novel.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, the school took their official position. This is something that was endorsed by the rest of the Alameda County schools. Is they have a right to regulate what a student reads in their home, and that's just that's pretty insane, right? I mean, you have a right to. This is America. Last time I checked, this is America. You have a right to read in your home a book if you want. So, we brought a lawsuit, and we found for most of our clients that they were found to have a right to free speech, and what the legal rule that that the court finally ultimately took was that for all the ones who were just making offensive statements in private, or they have a right to say those things. The ones that were reading, the judge was very clear on this. The judge got actually pretty heated that you cannot discipline people for reading in their home. And however, they did find that the school did not have the school can regulate speech if you're insulting one of your classmates.
Oh, that's a bad ruling.
Yeah, it was a bad ruling, but that
sounds like what they do over in Europe. They have like these hate speech law. Like if you flip somebody off, like another driver in Germany, they can pull your driver's license, and it costs like $25,000 to get a driver's license. I mean, that's how they regulate speech there. Social controls, right?
Oh yeah. But and then for one of our kids, there were 2 kids that got assaulted. One I represented, one someone else represented. That was at the assembly, the restorative justice session, that got hurt. And we found that the school created a ultra hazardous situation by egging these students on, telling them to insult the uh, their classmates telling them all sorts of just heckling them, and they caused a riot, and they were required to pay a good chunk of money over the beatings, and for the free
Yeah.
speech violations. Most of our clients walked away with some money. We had there were 10 plaintiffs total. For the whole litigation. 8 of them walked away with checks, and the ninth one, he actually did get suspended because of the litigation. We got something called a restraining order against schools, so they could suspend him. And so the 10th kid, the one that created the page, well, that was a bit of a bridge too far for everyone. But the New York Times, there's a New York Times best seller about the case. Accountable.
Accountable.
Yeah.
So there's an actual New York Times bestseller book about a case that you worked on.
Yeah.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah. So.
Gosh.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with the case. I want to be with the book
Right.
to be clear. Other than the fact the writer called me quite a bit but I was pretty. I was happy with the result. I would have liked to have gotten something for the last kid, but 9 out of 10 we got something for. A lot of kids were able to pay for the college. The 9th kid was able to go to college because he didn't have that expulsion on his record, and the kids got hurt, that we were able to put some money in their pockets for their pain and suffering, because at the end of the day, that's something people have to remember is that if the government proactively puts you in a more dangerous situation, that's a violation of your 14th Amendment rights to due process, and you have a right to not have the government make you go into a restorative justice session that turns into a riot. That's ultimately what the court said. I mean, not a big. So, but and it really says where we're at in society. I even had to bring a lawsuit though. When I was growing up, there'd be no question you had a right to read whatever you want in your house.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much, man.
Your parents. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I couldn't read in my house, but that was because my dad would beat me. That had nothing to do with school. And the problem is these schools are trying to turn us into the schools try to take the role of the parent. And
there's
a bothering doctrine that's happening all throughout, especially in California schools, and
it's a Marxist ideology too. I mean, they're literally like stealing our birthright as parents to rear our children in the way that we see fit. Sorry about interrupting, but it just makes me so angry.
Well, it's an ideology. They're trying to make the state the parent.
Yes.
And they don't want parents to have a lot of say over how their children are raised because they want us all to believe the same thing.
Just like Canada. You see it in Canada. I mean, that's how it's going to be in California pretty soon. Right.
And so I mean, I've done a lot of free speech. A couple of my other notable cases, I was the first person to sue over whether the First Amendment applies to a Facebook case. That was out in Honolulu. Name of the case was Hawaii Defense Foundation, the City and County Honolulu. And there, the Honolulu Police Department maintained a Facebook page. And if you said something nice about the police in the comment section, they'd keep it up. If you said something bad about the cops, they'd delete it. And They thought it was their Facebook page, so they could do whatever they want with it. But at the end of the day, the government, the government allows speech, it has to be content neutral. That's the bottom line. And imagine if you're researching, you're a professor on the East Coast, and you're researching how people feel about the police all over the country. And you go down on Facebook, and you see, oh man, everyone loves the police in Honolulu. There's not a single person. What if you were a lawyer were able to delete his negative Yelp reviews, but keep up? It gives that same impression. Just the positive ones. I mean, same thing. These are essentially all people get to see is the Yelp reviews that are positive towards the Honolulu Police Department.
Yeah.
Right. And that as a matter of policy is why it's important that they're not allowed to censor speech on their Facebook pages. And, I thankfully the ACLU actually for once they actually saw it my way and they got involved. We came up with a procedure to a First Amendment compliant policy. There was a court ruling, so people can look that up if you want. Hawaii Defense Foundation, the City and County of Honolulu, and I went on and I sued San Diego County for doing something very similar. Sheriff Gore was the sheriff of San Diego County was the leading post. And, in that case, all the counties, all the police departments in California got notice and started obeying the First Amendment. And, now they either don't have Facebook pages, which is their right, or they allow people, if they allow comments, they have to allow a spirited political debate in those comment sections about whatever issues the police are having.
Alan, that sounds like the exact opposite of what they're trying to do on tax-funded or tax-subsidized universities, where they're trying to say, no, presenting both sides is racist. You can only present the side that supports inclusion. That's literally what they're doing at the campus radio stations and newspapers. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's beyond anything else. You gotta ask yourself, like, what sort of society we're trying to have? When I was growing up, college was a place where you learned how to engage with the rest of the world. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to say this one side's right, and we're the government. We get to decide. And historically, when the government gets to pick winners and losers, it doesn't matter whatever it is. It's just not a good thing. It never turns out right. It can start off with the best of intentions. And once you let the government come in, well, it's
it's a leviathan that you have to keep feeding and growing. And then, the pensioners are more concerned about keeping their pensions at taxpayer expenses and exerting their influence inside government organizations and private industry to maintain that power and that additional money coming in. And it's just, like the more government agencies you have, the larger the leviathan and the less freedom individuals have. That's just how it's always been historically. They become the king's men, the king's courtiers. They're no longer part of us. They're no longer part of the commoners, the common law folk. So, that's what I see happening.
I mean, that's what I do. I focus on suing municipalities and state governments over violating people's rights. I've gone over the country doing that. I've practiced in. My apologies.
It's okay. I'm just glad to have you. I'm just glad to have you on.
But I've practiced in, lost count how many states I've practiced in, but maybe a dozen. Just suing different counties and states just over violating people's rights. I mean, I'm suing in D.C. right now over the bump stock ban, among other things. And, I'm also representing quite a few people in Maui against the government for for creating the fires, which caused so many people in Lahaina to lose their homes and lives.
Yeah,
So
so
I
you do so you're helping out with fires and overturning the bump stock ban. Everybody put it in the comments. OTBSB, overturn bump stock ban. Put it in the comments. Go ahead, Alan. I just had to do that. I wanted made me feel like Chili from Delete Laws.
oh yeah, well, so I've been working on that too. I've got a lot of satisfaction just trying to help the people of Lahaina get a little bit of justice for a fire that just didn't need to have happened. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm the guy you call up when you need to sue the government.
There you go. So look, I want to kind of move through this because I know you got a busy schedule, and so Dick Heller specifically said, look, everybody, Dick Heller, District of Columbia versus Heller. Alan actually introduced me to Dick years ago when we were at the Fifth Circuit, and Alan was arguing a machine gun case, and Dick and I became buddies, and I went to the SHOT Show with him a few weeks ago. I think Alan was arguing a case before the Ninth Circuit or something. I don't know at that particular time. Can't quite remember, but Commonwealth v. O'Donnell, Dick is really excited about this case because he thinks that it shows that almost like getting married, right? States should honor marriage laws the same way they should honor gun laws. If a rifle is legal in Nevada, it should be legal in California. Or if a rifle is legal in Massachusetts or in New Hampshire, it should be legal in Massachusetts. And I wanted to have Alan come on and talk about that. And then we're going to wrap up the show talking about the San Diego flood damage and suing the government and why some flood damage cases are flying and other ones aren't. And we'll learn a little bit about notice and why it's so hard to sue the government, which sort of segues into things like qualified immunity and sovereign immunity, things that a lot of us want to know about. So, Alan, I've got the Commonwealth v. Donnell case up on the screen. Is there anything about this case that stands out to you that we need to know about?
Well, I think that what's important is that, in 2022, the Supreme Court ruled in a case called Brood that, just put a lot of life into the Supreme Court Second Amendment jurisprudence. And after all that, there's a lot of laws now that are definitely unconstitutional. And one thing that the appears to be is that the state governments cannot make it a burden to apply for a CCW permit if you live out of state.
And everybody CCW means concealed carry weapon, the ability to carry a weapon legally concealed so other people don't see it on your person. Go ahead, Alan.
So O'Donnell was a guy who was caught carrying a firearm, handgun, in Massachusetts. And at the time, and I think it's still the case, he lived out of state, and it was very, very hard for an out-of-state resident to get a permit to carry a weapon. So what the court said is that his conviction was unconstitutional because for out-of-state residents, the restrictions on carry were so much more onerous than in-state residents. And, at the end of the day, this is the United States of America. We're all citizens, and you're just as much of a American citizen in California as you are Arizona. So
Yeah.
if you live in Arizona and you come to California, the state of California, just like the state of Massachusetts, has a duty to give you a mechanism to carry a firearm, to exercise your Second Amendment rights. And, this is just the start of a lot of litigation that's going around the country. In New York and California, there's already lawsuits over their complete bans on non-residents carrying firearms. And, you know, let's say Hawaii has its own non-resident ban. Yeah, perhaps there may be a lawsuit at some point. I don't want to give too much away, but you know, the reality is a lot of these states just don't want you carrying a gun, and they know they just can't completely ban firearm carry like they used to. So what they're doing is they're still being very resistant about it. They're putting in unconstitutional laws that restrict where you can carry, what type of people you carry. They're going right up to the line of a complete ban without um, doing one because the Supreme Court has said they can't. So this is one of the ways they make it very difficult for non-residents to carry a gun, or they make it impossible. And like the Donnell court said, that's blatantly unconstitutional.
Right. So the Donnell court basically just reiterated Heller that it's a protected constitutional right. And but what Dick Heller was saying to me is, well, so you're telling me if I am standing in New Hampshire and I walk across the border and I have my AR-15, locked up in a container or whatever, and I walk across, I'm automatically like a felon or something because I walked across with a rifle that's legal in my state. And so that was, he says that he thinks that Donnell seems to stand for the proposition that the state should offer a full faith and credit to the gun laws of another state. And I was just wondering, do you think that there's precedent in this case? And if you could distinguish the difference between a state law case and a federal case?
Well, state and federal law, state courts have jurisdiction to rule on federal law, whereas federal courts do not have jurisdiction to rule on state laws unless there's a federal issue also happening. So a state court could find that the states have to give full faith and credit to other licenses. And, that's something that's being litigated, the New York and California cases that I mentioned. There is some precedent, oddly enough, for the gay marriage arena for this proposition. You had the Obergefell opinion that basically said you have to honor, states have to honor each other's marriage licenses. And, there's more to that opinion than that, but that's as relevant here. I mean, that's a big part of it. And, if a marriage license has to be honored, I mean, there's a strong argument to saying that a handgun permit has to be honored. They're both licenses that deal with fundamental rights.
Right. That's right. But fundamental rights are, they seem to be on the decline unless you support woke, ideology and things like that. There's only one point of view allowed now, it seems.
Yeah. And, certainly have some disagreements with the Supreme Court in the jurisprudence on Obergefell in other aspects of it, but it's sort of beyond the scope of this podcast. Don't get me wrong.
That makes sense. Well, okay, so Donnell doesn't really, it's not just because I guess the point I'm trying to make for people who aren't lawyers is Donnell, a state law case, it's persuasive authority and could potentially be used by a federal court all the way up to the Supreme Court. But it's not mandatory law that, just because this judge thinks that it makes sense that it shouldn't be a crime. If you're in compliance with the gun law of one state, you should be given at least some kind of consideration if you're traveling transitorily through, or a non-resident, maybe with a business across the border, where you need to protect yourself. because the crime has gotten so bad with all these woke DAs who just let violent criminals out of jail. So, a lot of people are getting really upset about this. And it seems like people are just starving for information as to why this is being allowed to happen, Alan. And all I can say is that it's almost like a faith-based religion has swept across our court systems and our legislatures with this new ideology where hypocrisy is considered to be, I guess, equitable or fair.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's that. Okay. So the next issue then is so the San Diego floods. That's kind of a big deal. And what's cool about San Diego is it shows that government immunity and being able to sue your public servants when they wrong you is not easy. Sometimes it's almost impossible. Cops get qualified immunity, judges and DAs get what amounts to sovereign immunity in many cases to just destroy people's lives if they want to. That's why Thomas Aquinas was so adamant that only people in authority, elected officials, judges, should know the law and mean to keep it well. He really pushed for us, making sure, even if you're a bad person, make sure that you vote for people who aren't bad because you recognize the folly of your ways. And so there were a lot of really great philosophers who's helped shape our Constitution and our way of life. And so now we have the concept of sovereign and qualified immunity coming into play, where it's the king's immunity. The king was immune basically, and the king's men were immune. They had qualified immunity or sovereign immunity. I think qualified immunity is more an American common law construct. And Alan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, you have these fires in San Diego, or not fires. You have these floods, but it could have been a fire, but against a different agency perhaps, where typically you wouldn't be able to sue a government agency unless they actively engaged or failed to perform a duty that they were responsible for. In this case, if the city of San Diego designed a road plan or a residential plan, and there were problems with it later on down the road because of a defect in the plan, you could not sue them because they had immunity. But there are exceptions, like a substantially changed condition, or where the city's on notice that they're failing to keep trash out of a rain gutter, and then it causes it to clog up and flood homes. Well, in that case, the city of San Diego or a municipality in that San Diego County area could be subject to a lawsuit. It's hit and miss. So like Alan and I were having this conversation the other day, there could be a flood damaged home that's directly across the street from one of these homes that got flooded in San Diego. And it may not be a viable claim to bring against that other city because it's in the wrong zip code where the city had notice of the potential flooding issue. And I wanted Alan to talk a little bit more about that because Alan practices law in San Diego and he's working on some of these flood cases right now. So go ahead, Alan, and tell us what you think.
Well, the bottom line is the city of San Diego has not maintained its infrastructure for a really long time, including other things. It hasn't maintained its storm drains. It hasn't made a lot of the available mechanisms to allow the water to flow. That's what happens when you don't have adequate storm drains. Guess what? Areas flood that shouldn't have flooded. So throughout San Diego, hundreds of homes have been were ruined by floods. People had to evacuate. People lost their cars. And unfortunately, insurance is not paying for most of these claims. I've yet to talk to a person who's had their insurance approve fully the damage that's occurred. And, last year I was working on the wildfires in Lahaina, and I'm still actively litigating that. And I realized, this disaster had happened in my hometown. And I realized there's also the government's at fault here, so I'm taking the skills that I've learned, over the past 14 years of suing the government, and especially last year with tragedy in Lahaina. And I'm going to take that to show that the city of San Diego is at fault for causing these floods in a lot of areas where they shouldn't have happened. I mean, most of San Diego should not have flooded. That's the bottom line. And through some policy decisions, they decided to spend money elsewhere. Let's go build a stadium instead of keeping the storm drains maintained, so there's no so that the water could flow freely. And I'm hoping to help as many people as possible. It's the city has a duty of care for its citizens, and that's a duty that it failed to live up to.
And I've got a chart here that I just put up for you. This is an article that I did on my website for the business. It's the only reason I'm showing it is because it's the best source of information that I've been able to find, all collated here on this article. But you can see that the estimated cost of repair for South Crest, repair cost per home, I believe, is $2.5 million. Cholas Creek, $1.8 million. San Diego Mountain View, $1.2 million. San Diego Logan Heights, $1 million. San Diego San Ysidro, $1.3 million. And a lot of these homes, Alan, remember, are uninsurable. You can't get flood insurance for these homes. So the only way these residents have a chance to get some money back is probably to sue. Is that a fair statement?
It's absolutely a fair statement.
That's wild. And the main issue at every single one of them is flood damage and property loss. So remember, you guys are losing your computer systems, all, baby pictures. I mean, things that are priceless. To you, it might be worth $1 billion, but, to an insurance company, or in this case, a government evaluator or expert, they have to put a value on it based on the fair market value, right, Ellen?
That's absolutely right. But, if you had to evacuate, if you lost intangible things that are very precious to you, you also can sue for that. I mean, there is a certain amount of emotional trauma that you can be compensated for, especially if you evacuated. And, that's so that's a big reason why people that were renting, for example, let's say you lived in an apartment and you were renting, the rain starts coming, you didn't even have anything in there, or maybe just had a couple $1,000s worth of stuff, right? But that you can be compensated for that traumatic experience of having to flee, and when you didn't have to, especially if you thought that you potentially could drown in the floods. I spoke to a person last night that had they had to evacuate with their elderly mother. They just didn't know whether they're going to make it out alive.
Wow, that's crazy. So Alan, a lot of my viewers I get a lot of calls, not necessarily about floods, but how to deal with these government claims. Everybody thinks, I just make a claim, and in 6 months they're either going to pay me, or they think they're going to get paid, or they're going to get some great result. And so, I have on the screen here decoding the legal process. So I'm just going to walk through the legal process of what it takes for most government claims. And then I'm going to let Alan kind of explain some other nuances, like making sure it's on the right form and with the right agency, or you're screwed. But basically, here's how it goes. So typically, you'd want to talk with a flood damage attorney, but if you want to do it yourself, you've got to gather the necessary evidence and then file your government claim. And what is that evidence? Well, Alan can tell you what that might be. But then if that claim gets denied or they don't respond, then you have a certain timeline with which to file a lawsuit. They don't have any duty to you to act or not act. But if they do act, they give you what we call a letter to sue. But if they don't act, you have to know how to do it right. And guess what? It might have to be on that agency's claim form. It might have to be with a completely different agency than the one that you thought. So, Alan, can you kind of like help fill in the blanks for everybody on that?
Well, what's important here is that everyone that was impacted by the flood realized they have 6 months to file a Tort Claims Act with the city of San Diego. And what that means is you have to put the city on notice within that statutory period. That's California law, or else you can't sue. You could have lost $100 million in damages. And if you don't file your Tort Claims Act in time, you've lost your right to sue. And the best way to do that, frankly, is to hire someone that's done this before. Like it's because after the Tort Claims Act has been filed, that's when you get to the nitty gritty of filing in court. I mean, there's always the possibility that they just want to settle with you, but that's rare.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's been my experience. That's been my experience too, Alan. I've in these types of cases, other than civil rights cases where they don't want to get publicity, they never want to offer my clients anything unless they sue, and clients don't know how to sue. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to be said about having an attorney, just because there's a certain amount of intimidation factor. I mean, for example, a friend of mine, I do a little bit of work on behalf of inmates, and when an inmate has been, say, beaten by the police, the jails typically, no matter how injured they were, there's normally a cap of about $5,000 for the amount they're willing to settle. And, they'll start off, and that's in a really egregious case. You've got all your ribs broken. I mean, so if you get a lawyer, and this just happened actually just a few weeks ago. This happened for a friend of mine, but the maximum cap for the state of California for the prisoners was they offered his client $5,000. Second, a lawyer came on. They realized they were in for a fight, and they offered him $100,000.
Holy moly, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just normal, because they know that people have their lives to get back to. It's a full-time job to prosecute a big case. And, most people just can't do that. One, even if they have the training, I mean, they have to get back to their lives, and that's assuming you've got the training to do what, the job of a lawyer.
Yeah. And Alan, even lawyers screw this up. So
Absolutely.
As part of my practice, I do legal malpractice cases. And, not too many, but occasionally you'll get one where the lawyer screwed up, like a cruise ship accident, and they didn't make the claim with the cruise ship company first. And so the client lost, we have to go after the professional malpractice insurance, or a case where the lawyer a new lawyer who just passed the California bar decides to put up their own shingle, and they think they have 2 years to sue because there's a regular 2-year statute, and they don't even know anything about that. They should have brought a government claim, kind of a thing. So, I just want everybody to know, like, Alan can verify this, like, even a lot of lawyers don't do this right. So you need to do your research and don't just don't rely on Yelp reviews that everybody's cousin and their uncle gave them.
Well, since we've been on this podcast, I just found out I'll be arguing in front of 11 judges in Seattle in June.
Oh, wow.
It's you need attorneys that have argued in front of multiple judges before. They're good with the evidence, and I have it's going to be 15 years in September of suing various governments. 15 years in law, about 14 years of suing governments, and this is what I've done with my career. Everyone has everyone picks their legal career. Every
Yeah.
attorney gets, and I happen to want to pursue a career where I held government agencies accountable. That's something
Yeah.
that I've seen throughout the course of my life. Government agencies have just simply not been held accountable.
Yeah, they're like fiefdoms to a large degree, and the large corporations have realized that they can hire FBI, CIA guys, make sure there's a revolving door employment scheme set up so they can influence inside government organizations to get what they want. That's, for example, I believe in France, there's a law under discussion that people can't say anything negative about mRNA technology, aka Big Pharma, because that's now going to be like a felony and a $90,000 fine in euros to say something bad about it. So it just shows you how much power can be exerted by these large corporations that in many cases are even completely immune from being sued for their own negligence, thanks to backdoor sweetheart deals and smoke-filled rooms years ago. But people like you and I, we get the full book thrown at us when we make the simplest mistake. Even if someone breaks into your home and is threatening your wife and kids, if you defend yourself with a firearm, if you're in California, expect to be jailed and expect to be charged. I would say that's a high probability, no matter if it's caught on tape, that you acted in clear self-defense, because there is an political ideology at play here that has infected our courts and legislatures, which I call Leviathanic, where the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is looked at as bad because it's racist or because white people wrote it or whatever it might be. But the real reason is they just want to shut you up and keep the money flowing. And that's why I always talk about natural law, natural rights, Hobbes and Locke, and why it's so important for people to understand that there's basically two schools of thought. There is one school of thought that we need an all-powerful monarchy like a Leviathan to keep people under control. And there's another thought that we all have natural, unalienable rights. And for the most part, we should be left alone. As long as we're not harming other people, then we should be left alone. And I think that most people who support self-defense rights, including guys like UFC guys like Dana White and UFC fighter, at least one that I've had on my show, they all sort of believe the same thing. Like, for the most part, we want to know there's kind of a safety net. We want to know we can get goods and items. People aren't going to be, raiding the trucks as they go down the road. But other than that, we kind of want to be left alone. And Alan, I wanted to ask you, when you're doing these school cases, are you also seeing that this is because of the way the kids are being taught in schools, that this is why our society is becoming infected with this Leviathanic sort of mentality?
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen this big push for, was it critical race theory, gender theory. What they're trying to do is they're trying to destroy the idea of the nuclear family. I think that's what it comes down to. They're trying to destroy our once you destroy the nuclear family and you say the government, the state is more important than the family structure, that's when everything starts tumbling down.
So, Alan, really quick, because I'll forget, would you say that communist China is more likely to loan the United States money if our people have less free speech and firearms rights or more free speech and firearms rights?
Oh, I think that China wants us soft. They love to loan out as much money as possible to get rid of our firearms rights. I don't think, I think what China wants is to influence our society so that there's a softening of it. I think their monetary policy all throughout the world has been one where it's been used to control people. They come in, they find a poor country. That's not us, but they find some small, tiny third world country. They say, hey, we'll build you this harbor. And all of a sudden, this politician didn't really understand what he was doing, just leveraged away his country's future, and they can't pay the debt. So China says, well, that's all right. You don't have to pay us back. But now we own the harbor.
That's right. And here's a little history, guys. I'll make it really fast. So Chinese Communist Party General Charlie Tree is the first known communist Chinese representative that we know of. He was allegedly bringing in suitcases full of money to fund the Bill Clinton campaign. Soon thereafter, after Bill Clinton was elected, Seal Beach Naval Weapons Station became a Chinese military naval base under protest by the local communities. So Chinese communist cash suitcases full of money have been alleged for a long time infiltrating our political parties, and they have Confucius societies all over our schools pushing this Che Guevara communist Chinese philosophy, and many professors who are also self-admitted Antifa leaders are also have been caught being funded money illegally by the Communist Chinese Party. So just to give you an idea of what they're trying to control, it starts with the ideology of our children on these campuses. So anyways, go ahead, Alan. I just wanted to interject that.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, but I mean, I think it's more than that. I mean, there's oligarchy, international oligarchy, and it's and they just don't like our country's traditions. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And they want to fundamentally shape America so they can live in a country, or at least visit a country that's a lot more similar to them than what they want to be. And they don't like the fact Americans value independence.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And public schools generally don't like when kids express independence unless it's part of their equity, diversity, and inclusion independence that they offer up. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't think like the group, you're not allowed to be independent, but you are independent if you think like the group. I mean, the semantic game is very Orwellian. Like slavery is freedom, freedom is slavery. Right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, look, I don't want to bore people too much, and I wanted to showcase a little bit about how cool this is. We'll do a little cool closing music called "Honor the Flag." And by the way, it's not racist. It's not racist or white supremacist to honor the flag and support America. Right? I mean, Alan, are you a white supremacist? I don't think so. I mean, didn't you just celebrate the Chinese New Year? Okay.
I actually just did. My family's from a different part of Asia that celebrates the Lunar New Year. Not the Lunar New Year, though.
Yeah, we're just Heinz 57 Americans. We love our country, and we don't want government agents messing with our children. They're not coming for my children, guys. There's going to be a problem if they try. Just want everybody to know that. You should all think like that. If you're parents, if you love your children, you should be watching this show every week. Anyways, look, I'm going to let everybody go. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Alan, I'll give you a call in a little bit.
All right, sounds good, Mike.
Semper Fidelis, Eagle Eye Liberty. Arrgh!
Bye.